Hello and welcome to Inside Nigeria, your favorite newspaper headline review show. My name is Tion Joseph, and in my hands are 5 different newspapers from which I'll be reading the major stories from. I'll begin this morning with the Leadership newspaper, the most influential newspaper in Nigeria. The lead story on leadership this morning says 3 days to governorship polls. Governors tighten news on opposition. Wike splits Rivers Labour Party as faction adopts Fabura. State ESCOs dissolved. Party crisis, litigation cripple opposition in Akwa Ibom, Oyo, others. 12 parties collapse structures for Niger APC flag bearer. And lastly, Badaru APC candidates meet Adamu ahead of polls. That is the report we have on the front page of Leadership this morning. Now that takes us to the Vanguard. The lead story on the Vanguard this morning says protest. PDP, LP tackle APC over Saul Losers comment. APC, PCC rules out manipulation in polls. APC desperate, says LP. Accepting Tinubu's sham victory are keen to celebrating criminality, says Atiku Okowa. I defend my victory, Tinubu tells court. 6 order to scan, obtain electoral materials. Obi Atiku challenge INEC's plan to reconfigure Bivas. And lastly, tribunal defers ruling till today. Now that takes us to the Nation newspaper. The lead story on the Nation this morning says INEC, reset of Bivas a must for governorship poll. Court decides today on LP's legal battle with election agency. That is the report we have from the Nation newspaper this morning. Now let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. And the headline says, fuel stations, orders reject old Naira, banks ration cash. Accepting old 500 Naira, 1,000 Naira, we hamp business, says retailers, others. And lastly, CBN adamant refuses to direct banks to obey Apex Court judgment. That is the report we'll be taking from the Punch this morning. And to conclude this first part of the show, let's take a look at Blueprint. And the list story says, as Atiku Obi challenge February 25 polls results, Tinubu prepares defense. Apex Court rules on Bivas machines today. Fagbemi leads APC's 13-man defense team to presidential election tribunal. And lastly, Bivas reconfiguration will tamper with evidence, LP, PDP. Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned for this part of the show. I'll crave your indulgence to do the same for the second part of the show. My name is Tion Joseph. I'll be back your way 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Until then, do have a great day.
Oh, hello there. You must have heard that leadership is forgotten country. True. But it is also important to know we are for you right there in your corner when you need us. And this is how you know. Our coverage of youth and children's issues is so unbeatable. You even produced our special edition. When others walk away, we stay with the story. We don't just report the story, we help you find the path. We bring you some of the country's finest writers, Monday to Sunday. We ask the tough questions. We speak your language. Ina kwanan?
Lafiya lau.
Wani labari muke da shi yau?
Ina karanta labarin hirar da aka da Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed.
Da kyau. We bring style to life in Le Vogue magazine. We identify leaders before others recognize them. And the data is speaking for us. So if you're not in leadership, you're behind.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the midweek edition of the program Inside Nigeria is reaching you on Leadership Television. Actually, this is the second segment of this breakfast show. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, and it sure feels good to be hosting you on today's program. Well, I'm going to be having a virtual guest this Wednesday, and of course, it's no other person than my midweek guest, my triple chief, as I love to call him. He's a syndicated columnist, a TV host, and a public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Good morning.
It feels good to be here to be seeing you on the other side.
Yeah, that's the situation of Nigeria as of today.
Yeah, thank you so much. We want to be looking at Nigeria's most influential newspaper, as we usually do. The leading story on the cover today says 3 days to governorship polls. Governors citing news on opposition. 3 days to governorship polls. Governors citing news on opposition. Wike splits Labour Party as faction adopts Fubara. State ESCOs dissolved. Party crisis, litigations cripple opposition in Akwa Ibom, Oyo orders. 12 parties collapse structures for Niger APC flag bearer. Bagudu, Badaru, APC candidates meet Adamu ahead of polls. That's the leading story on the leadership. Perhaps you could shed more light on that.
Well, Winifred, it doesn't come to me as a surprise. Nigerian's electoral or political system is that of winner takes all, and it's a zero-sum game. APC managed to escape the young man's news some 2 weeks ago. That's on February 25, 2023, when they managed to win the presidential seat as well as majority of seats in the National Assembly. So that has boosted their courage, their confidence, and I believe that the 21 governors of APC are doing everything humanly possible either to win re-election or for those of them who are serving out their tenure to get their favorite or anointed candidates to succeed them. So the Saturday election, if it does hold, will be much more fierce or will be fiercer than what we have on February 25. The reason why I say if it does hold is that we do not know what the Court of Appeal will decide today in terms of whether INEC can go ahead to reconfigure the beavers to be able to conduct the March 11 elections. But it doesn't really come to me as, and I must warn on this platform, Winifred, please, you are my witness. Lagos should be a place of interest because there is a lot of hate speeches on the Labour Party candidate in Lagos. The police and other security agencies need to pay special attention to Lagos. The not in my backyard attitude of the Lagosian as to wanting to get Sanwo-Olu to win the election by whatever means possible is a threat to democracy. I believe Governor Sanwo-Olu has done well and he deserves a second time, but he must be allowed to win fair and square. There must be no violence. There must be no intimidation of opposition. There must be no vote suppression. There must be no bloodletting or bloodshed. So as to the banner headline of the leadership newspaper today, that's the correct position of things as it were currently. That, the sitting governors across the 36 states are tightening their nose on how to get their either re-election or get their favorite candidates to succeed them. You recall that in Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike worked for the APC, but the fact that APC has a governorship candidate in Rivers this time around in the person of Tony Oko, Wike will want to do everything humanly possible to make sure that Fubara, his anointed successor, wins. So what I feel is that the police needs to be on high alert and get their security threat assessment right and ensure that there's no breakdown of law and order across the 28 states where the governorship election will be holding, as well as the 36 states where the House of Assembly elections will be holding, with the exception of Abuja. We in Abuja are not going to be voting on March 11 because Abuja is not a state. So we just pray for a peaceful poll. And with the Supreme Court decision on the redesigned Naira policy, it then means that all those governors who are led to have stockpiled huge sums of money for vote buying will be able to spend it this weekend, because whether we like it or not, the accusation and intelligence is that many of these governors have old Naira notes in their votes, in their private votes that they intend to use to buy votes. So we may actually see a lot of vote buying on Saturday compared to what was witnessed on February 25 when there was no cash for anybody to spend.
All right, thank you so much. Another story that is making the rounds on most of the papers today, nation's papers today, this issue of Beavers reconfiguration. Let's start with the Guardian. The Guardian says Tinubu files suit as appeal court rules on INEC's move to reconfigure Beavers. Tinubu files suit as President-elect. Tinubu files suit as appeal court rules on INEC's move to reconfigure Beavers. The rider says Obi opposes INEC, seeks physical inspection of election materials. 70 CSOs kick. PDP rejects INEC's bid to reconfigure Beavers machines. Court summons INEC, Wike orders over suit to suspend Saturday's Guba polls in Rivers. Thanks National Assembly won't be Tinubu's rubber stamp, says Oshomole. Shekara ruled absent as 98 senators elect received certificates of return. And of course, it's also the same leading story on this day. This day says appeal court rules today on INEC's request to vary order permitting PDP Labour Party to inspect poll materials. Appeal court rules today on INEC's request to vary order permitting PDP LP to inspect poll materials. Tinubu seeks order to inspect election materials. PDP raises the alarm over alleged plan to erase, destroy evidence of rigging. Opposition parties insist reconfiguration of Beavers will tamper with evidence. And the same story on The Nation. The Nation says INEC, reset of Beavers a must for governorship poll. INEC, reset of Beavers a must for governorship poll. Court decides today on Labour Party's legal battle with election agency. And Blueprint, same story. Blueprint says, as Atiku Obi challenge February 28 post results, Tinubu prepares defense. Appeal court rules on Beavers machines today. Fagbemi leads APC's 13-man defense team at Presidential Election Tribunal. Beavers reconfiguration will tamper with evidence. Labour Party, PDP. As Atiku Obi challenge February 28 post results, Tinubu prepares defense. Appeal court rules on Beavers machines today. Fagbemi leads APC's 13-man defense team at Presidential Election Tribunal. Beavers reconfiguration will tamper with evidence. Labour Party, PDP. And also the same story leading on the Vanguard. Vanguard says protest. PDP, Labour Party tackle APC over sore losers comment. Protest. PDP, Labour Party tackle APC over sore losers comment. APC, PCC rules out manipulation in polls. APC desperate. Labour Party. Accepting Tinubu's sham victory akin to celebrating criminality. Atiku Okowa. I'll defend my victory. Tinubu tells court. Seeks order to scan, obtain election materials. Obi Atiku challenge INEC's plan to reconfigure Beavers. Tribunal defense ruling till today. That is a story that has been trending since 2 days ago when the news broke that the INEC has is seeking a court judgment to reconfigure Beavers. And it's coming at a situation where at a time that the losing opposition parties have already filed to court charges to assess election material. So what is playing out here?
What is playing out here is politics. And in fact, I did not even avert my mind to the fact that INEC may have to reconfigure the Beavers, given the fact that this is not a disposable material where you say, okay, once you use it, you are done. This is the same Beavers that has to be used for the March 11 polls. So if the Court of Appeal should deny INEC the liberty to reconfigure the Beavers, it then means INEC will have to postpone the March 11 election, because you are talking of Beavers that was deployed to 176,606 polling units. You know what that means. And you are not going to be having 176,000 people taking the whatever is on the beavers, you are likely going to have about maybe 50 lawyers to have to do this, and you can just do the math, how long it will take them, even if they face beavers alone. So it's a dicey situation. I cannot at this point preempt their lordship at the Court of Appeal as to how they will rule. But I do know that INEC will have to, unless it's something that they can save, like you save text messages on mobile phones. You know, we all receive text messages, and you can save or delete those text messages. So if the BFAS is configured in such a way that it can save permanently the result of February 25, so that in reconfiguring it to be able to use the machines for March 11, the result of February 25 will not be tampered with. But Winifred, there's a trust deficit here. It will seem like the opposition do not believe INEC that if the court grants INEC that power to reconfigure the beavers ahead of next Saturday's election, that the results will not be tampered with. But again, you ask yourself, results of the polling units are already contained in the ECATA form, which has been scanned and uploaded on IREV portal. At least as of 3 days ago, what I read in the papers was that 92% of the results of the polling units have been uploaded. But I do understand that without the beavers, to cross-check what is on the beavers and the ECATA form, it might be prejudicial and detrimental to the suits filed by the opposition. So we just wait with bated breath to hear their lordship as to how they will rule. Time is ticking. Today is Wednesday. The next election is scheduled for 3 days from now.
Yes.
And whichever way the Court of Appeal decides will impact one way or the other on the next round of election.
Yes, I want to also ask too, by seeking court's approval to reconfigure beavers, is INEC not actually also admitting that anything can happen in the process? That's why we want to get court backing now, just in case maybe by the time the parties come to assess the beavers and discover that some information are missing. I think they just want to have a legal backing in case anything turns wrong. Don't you think so? Otherwise, it could have just gone ahead to do, if it knows very well that the information there will still be very, very intact. There was no need to go to the court to get his approval. Don't you think so?
I agree with you. And we also must understand that that is the lawful and legal thing to do. It's the court that has given the Labour Party and the PDP the order, approved the order for them to inspect election materials. And election materials here include the beavers. And this is very key to the proof of the allegation of opposition element that the election was rigged in favor of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so we're in a catch-22 situation. The trust deficit is so high that between the political parties and the election management body, that whatever Professor Mahmood Yakubu says now is taken with a pinch of salt. So let's wait. I'm sure before noon, the court will have ruled today as to whether INEC can reconfigure. And we also must have at the back of our minds that out of the 1.4 million estimated ad hoc staff that INEC deployed for the February 25th election, not all of them are neutral politically. Many of them have partisan interest. and can actually be used by their political chieftains to tamper with evidences of the or that will be very vital to both the plaintiff and the defendant in this matter. So we can't rule out that even if INEC says, okay, this results and the information needed on the BVAS is secure, that it should not be tampered with. It doesn't then mean that we will not see some of those INEC staff, whether permanent or ad hoc, who we want to fiddle and destroy the evidence. So the law firm normal legal thing to do is to go to the court so that INEC will have the blessing of the court, and that if anything happens, as you rightly suggested, it should not be said that, oh, INEC willfully destroy the evidence. That because already there are insinuations that by opposition element that they have found discrepancies between what INEC published on the
yes, and the BVAS,
and not the BVAS now. Nobody.
No, sorry, and the polling units results. Yes,
the polling unit results that is
yes.
with the polling agent. So it is on this basis that BVAS will be very key to resolve this issue. But how the commission, how INEC will convince the court.
Yes, I meant that. Yes, thank you so much. Are you still hearing me? Many people are also of the opinion that INEC is tampering, is trying to flush out evidence. How do you see that?
Well, everything now is a game. This is not new. At every turn, at every elections, all manner of allegations are leveled against INEC. Some may be true, some are half-truths, some are outright lies. And this is era of misinformation, disinformation, and all manner of distrust. So I cannot hold brief for any of the parties, any of the interested parties here that they will behave patriotically, because there's a lot of trust deficits currently, even between INEC and civil society, between political parties and civil society, and so the only reliable option is to go to court and get the court to do the needful. And the needful here will be to interpret the law and see whether, because it's a dicey situation, like I said.
It is.
Right now, INEC had already committed budgets to having the second strand of election on March 11. And by today, it actually should start the distribution of sensitive materials to the 36 INEC offices, from there to the local government by tomorrow, from local government to RAC center by Friday. And that cannot be done with BVAS now, because that BVAS have to be reconfigured, and there are so many of them. We are talking of BVAS for 176,606 polling units. So it will still take possibly 2 days for INEC officials, even working at maximum capacity, to be able to reconfigure. So if, depending on the ruling of the court, that's when we will know whether this March 11 will still hold as scheduled or whether it will be postponed. And if it is postponed, there are so many things that this will trigger, because campaigns are supposed to end tomorrow, and schools are supposed to resume next week after the election, and several other things, including the money that had already been paid to transporters, commitments that have been extracted. So this postponing the election will increase the cost of holding that election. But no amount is too high for the right thing to be done. So let the court take a judicial notice of all that is canvassed before it and see how it can rule fairly on this matter.
All right. Thank you so much. Now we are moving to the issue, another issue of on topic discussion today, and that is the issue of these old naira notes. Banks pay old naira notes to customers while traders reject old currencies. And the Attorney General of the Federation is mum over Supreme Court judgment. See the same story on Vanguard newspaper. Banks in shock as rejection of old 500 naira, 1,000 naira spreads. And the Punch has it as its leading story today. Few stations, others reject old naira. Banks ration cash. Few stations, others reject old naira. Banks ration cash. Accepting old 500 naira, 1,000 naira will hamper business, say retailers, others. CBN adamant refuses to direct banks to obey Apex Court judgment. So what is happening here? Since the Supreme Court gave its judgment, nothing has been heard. Mom has been the word from the federal government and even the CBN governor.
Well, I think
and it's on papers today that traders are rejecting it. Few stations are also rejecting the old naira notes. What is happening?
You see, this is why I said in my column today that we are in a season of panic and season of gloom. I would have expected that by Monday, after that Supreme Court decision, the federal government will have issued a statement, central bank will have issued a circular to money deposit bank or commercial bank on what to do. I know for a fact that most of the old naira notes may not have left the vault of many of the commercial banks. So it's as just telling them, I have a suspicion that the buck stop at the table of Mr. President, President Muhammad Buhari, and he is expected to have weighed in. After all, he was the one that says 200 naira should be in circulation till for 60 days till April 10. So now that Supreme Court has overruled him, and incidentally, that's the issue I weighed in on in my column in the Punch newspaper of today, extracting that Supreme Court decision. So Mr. President should just be statesmanly, and because this also will impact on this election we are talking about. It will impact. Right now, there is resurgence of fuel scarcity. Right now, there is still no naira in circulation, and we want to have a nationwide election. So we may have a worse election than the one that we had on February 25 if the situation does not improve. Because right now, many of us do not have cash. Online transactions are hanging. Some are not even going outrightly. The situation has not improved. Many small businesses have collapsed and all whatnot. So the president may, in my own estimation, be waiting till after March 11 so that when the election has come and
exactly, that's what most of us think.
Yeah, when the election will have come and gone, he will now issue directive for the old naira notes of 500 and 1,000 to be accepted. Maybe that's what he's waiting for, but I think that would be a contempt of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court did not say from March 15th, then you start, this order will take effect. It said with immediate effect. So if it was supposed to be with immediate effect, what and all, Mr. President by Monday ought to have done the needful. If he doesn't want to do it by himself, he could have invited Emefiele, the Council of State, the Economic Council, or his economic team. Or maybe, let's wait, maybe this time around, we will hear some news after the Federal Executive Council of today. Since part of the ground of fault that Supreme Court laid is that the Naira redesign policy was not even discussed at the Federal Executive Council.
Yes.
Maybe this decision was, maybe the president wants to table it before the FEC and seek the opinion of the FEC, but I think that will still be in contempt of the court. What we were expecting, which will have brought a lot of relief to many suffering Nigerians, is that by Monday at the very latest, the 500, 1,000 old Naira notes will have been a legal tender all across this country, so that we will not have situations where, even as of today, POS operators are still not having cash to disburse to their customers. And this is hampering economic activity. It's also hampering productivity. And
however, but a banker, a CBN official was said to have said, okay, that yes, that banks should accept old Naira notes, but nothing has been heard from the CBN governor. I mean, why is information leaking? It was the same an official too of CBN that also said during that other time that nobody's that receiving of old Naira notes is not going to be accepted. So what is happening here is Mefele using his official to make announcements while he keeps more.
No, that whatever was said by that official is not the official position of CBN. The CBN has an official means of communicating with the public, and anonymous source is not one of them. It has to be proper channel. So if you, when they wanted to do the withdrawal limit, cash withdrawal limit, they issued a statement. When the president made the public announcement about the 200 naira to be in circulation till April 10, they issued a statement. So why are they keeping? Is it that they have not been in receipt of the judgment of the Supreme Court? Is it because the Attorney General and Minister of Justice have not been able to hold brief with the president as to give the president legal opinion on this? Because again, these are interested parties. Emefiele and Attorney General, Attorney General was in court to even oppose the plaintiff who sued the federal government. And I recall that last week, before that judgment came, early last week, he did say that what the president said in his February 16 nationwide broadcast was not tantamount to disobedience of Supreme Court. And that is Attorney General of the Federation talking. Only for Supreme Court to say the president acted in disobedience and in contempt of the court. You can read, you have a copy of the Punch newspaper there. You can read even the first paragraph there, where I quoted His Lordship, Honorable Justice Emmanuel Agim. It was a very profound statement that he made, that this is a clear disobedience.
Hello, we've lost him there. Did they? Hello? Okay, I can see him. He's still with us. Huh? Okay, so we are sorry, we are having some technical hitches. I think when he settled, he'll be back online. Apart from the old Naira Bank's ration cash story that we just shed more lights on, we also have the issue of fuel scarcity, and marketers insist that fuel scarcity will linger till after elections. And it's also same story that made headline news on other papers this morning. Leadership says fuel scarcity, marketers disagree on uniform petrol pricing. Fuel scarcity, marketers disagree on uniform petrol pricing. And on Vanguard newspaper is also the same story. So it's back. Okay. Did they?
I hear you. I'm hearing you all the way.
Okay. Sorry, we lost you there. We couldn't hear you, and there was network glitch No, I'm saying that in addition to the cash crunch issue that we have, we're also having a few scarcities. Queues are back in our filling
Yeah,
stations, and marketers insist or disagree on uniform petrol pricing. Is there no end to this fuel scarcity issue?
you know,
Is there no end?
incidentally, I was on Nigeria Television Authority program, Nigeria Today, yesterday evening, to discuss this with the Vice President of Independent Petrol Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMA. And what the official position he gave was that the current fuel scarcity was as a result of the February 25 election and the aftermath. That many of their members, apart from being forced to be at home on February 25, recall that there was a lockdown from 12 midnight on Friday, 24th of February to 6 p.m. on February 25. Aside from that, he also said that many of their members were apprehensive about likelihood of protests, violent protests, go to lift fuel. However, that they have started lift a couple of days. So my fear now is that even if the situation abates between today, tomorrow, or Friday, another lockdown will happen between Friday and Saturday. So,
Okay.
About the fallout of the So,
okay, it's back.
But by and large, I think we have to live with this scarcity till after the election. And Winifred, if you recollect, I've always been an advocate of deregulation of the petroleum, downstream petroleum sector. I've asked, if you recall, on this very program, why Lagos residents should buy fuel at 175 naira per liter, and we in Abuja will also buy at 175 naira. You remember my analogy that if you are going from here to Suleja, the amount you pay for transportation will not be same as if you are going from here to Kaduna or to even Sokoto.
Yeah, it's true.
We are now playing bad economics, or what is called voodoo economy. Vehicles will go and load from Apapa in Lagos or Tinkan in Lagos, and you want them to sell, you want independent marketers to sell at the same amount as somebody who is selling in Ibadan, or somebody who is selling in Ilorin, or somebody who is selling in Abuja. The distance covered by the trucks is not the same. So why the subsidy may be advantageous to those who are closer to the coast where the petroleum products are loaded and brought to the hinterland, it will be at a loss to those who have to travel hundreds of kilometers to discharge their products. So that's the more reason why the issue of deregulation in terms of pricing is very important. If transporters will not carry someone who is going to Lokoja the same amount as he will carry someone going to Akure or someone going to Ibadan or to Lagos, why then should I carry a 50,000 liters of fuel from Lagos to Abuja, and you are expecting me to sell it at 175 naira, which is the amount my colleague in Lagos are selling their own? Definitely there should be price variations given the distance. And one thing I've always advocated is that even if Dangote refinery comes on stream this month, as has been promised, even if the Port Harcourt refinery comes on stream this month, as has been promised, this fuel scarcity may still not end, because what we have been told is that the product is available in Lagos. So the product will be available in Lagos, it will be available in Port Harcourt when the Port Harcourt refinery is fixed. But how does it get to us in Abuja, or to those who are in Kaduna, or those who are in Makurdi, or those who are in other parts of the country? Now the pipelines have been largely vandalized. I once took up Minister of Information and Culture, who said the federal government spent an average of 20 billion every year to repair vandalized pipelines. And I said, if you are spending that quantum of money every year, and it's not using the desired results, why don't you use technology to fight this criminality? So at the end of the day, it's just an honeypot that some powerful Nigerians are using to eat that they don't want to break. I hope Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidency will be able to see to the end of this whole dislocation.
Yes, it says so in different forums during the campaigns that I was going to stop end the fuel subsidy. That even if you protest,
it goes beyond subsidy. My sister, you see, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Buhari said more than that in 2014, ahead of 2015 election. How many of such promises did he keep to? Talk is cheap, because the moment you pull the plug from subsidy, price of PMS will go to as much as maybe 800, 900 naira per liter. Look at how much we are buying kerosene. Nobody is buying kerosene any longer. Kerosene is now about 1,000 naira per liter. This is kerosene that was even being used to blend in time past. They call it rice and beans. Because kerosene was cheap then, they will use it to blend the PMS. But today, it's the rich people that can afford to use kerosene because of the deregulation of that product. So the moment the plug is removed from PMS, from petrol, the rest assured that the romance will be over for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And you may have violent protests taking over the country, because many of those who have not reasoning out the import of removal of fuel subsidy. I am all for fuel subsidy removal. But I'm saying, beyond that, as much as that is desirable, the availability of the product is even more important. Because if you now deregulate, fully deregulate, and you remove the plug, and the product is still not available even at 1,000 naira per liter, then there will be riots. There will be riots. And I really don't know the magic wand that will be used to solve the distribution challenge. Because, as I said on NTA yesterday night, there are two easier ways to transport this petroleum product. Either through pipelines from Lagos to Mosimi, to Ore, to Suleja, to Kaduna, to Maiduguri, to Mina depots. That's through pipelines. If you are not doing through pipelines, then the alternative should have been via rail.
Yes, it's supposed to be land rail, but we are not still using, in this 21st century, we are still using truck.
So you know, but unfortunately, the thinkers of the 60s did not deem it fit to link the railway to the port. The Lagos rail line starts from Ebute Metta, and successive administration has not seen the need to link that Ebute Metta train station to Apapa and Tinkan port, so that they can load this product directly from the seaport through to the hinterland via the rail line. That is the alternate and cheaper way of providing seamless distribution. Unfortunately, the only one option that we've been using is through the land.
Yes.
And when there is flooding, there will be disruption. When the roads are bad, there is problem. When there is what we were told in January 2022 was that the product was adulterated, the one that was imported in January of 2022. Now, all manner of things. So it's going to take a very bold step, and it may not be immediate for us to really see to the end of this dislocation in the availability of PMS. Because even if there has been significant improvement in electricity generation distribution, there will have been drop in the required consumption of PMS. You and I will not have need to put on our generators. We will not have had the need to have alternative sources of providing energy, electricity power. But now, because the power situation is also deplorable, aside from those cars on the road, you also need this product to power your generator. And so it's a catch-22 situation. And really, I do not envy Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because his presidency will be very tumultuous. His presidency will be shaken to the roots. Even if he gets victory through the court, he will not have a period of romance, no honeymoon, because the problems are very, very daring, very, very peculiar. And, in the midst of all of this, there is still huge debt portfolio that he will be inheriting on May 29. Yes. So
it's something that we have to actually take time to discuss on our next program, because as it is, time is running against us. It's been a pleasure having you in the program, and I look forward to seeing you in the program. That is if you permit. I look forward to seeing you.
If situation improves, why not?
All right, thank you so much, Jide. It's always a pleasure to have you in the program. Well, viewers, we've come to the end of today's midweek show inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. Same time, same station. Tomorrow is another day. I remain Winifred Bebo. See you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.